So the next is the dollar-based net expansion rate. And the best way to think about this is that if your dollar-based net expansion rate is 100%, that means you're basically holding on to all your customers. What you do is we'll get into the definition in fact, you know what? You want to go to the next slide and we'll come back to this. What a dollar-based net expansion rate is it takes your cohort of customers from, I'm going to start this by saying year one. So like at December 31st, how much annual revenue were we collecting from all of our customers? Then at the end of year two, we go back and we see how much annual revenue are we collecting from those same customers. So the key is we don't include any new customers, because what this does is this digs under the hood a little bit and it says, okay, of the people we had on December 31st last year, how much revenue are we getting from that group? And that includes people that leave. And then it also includes people that add more. So if it's $5,000 and you have one data scientist who's using this tool at your company, if you up it to 3, then all of a sudden that's a lot more revenue that Alteryx is getting. Now, here's the funny thing, and Brian circled this, is that the way that they do it here is that they calculate their dollar-based net expansion rate. And what they do is they take what it was at the end of every quarter, but then they average it out over the past 4 quarters. So if it was, 130% in Q1, 125% at the end of Q2, 120% at the end of Q3, and it was 115% at the end of Q4. What I want to know as an investor is I want to know it was 115% at the end of Q4. That's what's interesting to me. But what they'll publish is that it was about 122, 123% because they average it out. So let's go back to that previous one now. So if you look at this, overall for a SaaS or a software as a service company, this is pretty good. If you can have your dollar-based net expansion rate above 120%, that's not bad. The thing is that as you can see, between Q2 and Q3, it fell 2%. And then on the bottom, Brian wrote in what we had this quarter, which was 122%. So it's fallen by 2% every quarter going back to Q3 of 2019.
You wonder why they didn't show this. They update the slide for this quarter.
Yeah. Well, and what is interesting too is that if it falls 2%, what we can deduce is that whatever that dollar-based net expansion rate was for Q4 of 2020, it was about 8 percentage points lower than it was in Q4 of 2019. I could get into the mathematics of all that, but basically the bottom line is we know Q1, Q2, and Q3 of 2020, they're all the same. They were included in both last quarter's calculation and this quarter's. The only difference is we're Xing out Q4 2019 and we're adding Q4 2020. If it fell by 2 percentage points and you're multiplying that out across 4 quarters, that means it's 8 percentage points lower. So we've seen it fall about 8 percentage points from the previous quarter for quite some time now. Again, this isn't at the area of, oh my goodness, crisis, but in general, I don't love that level of opacity. I like clarity. I like people being really forthcoming about what is going on in the business.